Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Crystallized Experience with Crystal. Um, I had something I wanted to speak with you all about. It's been on my heart, and it was really heavy on me here these last couple moments. I talked with you about getting back with you about grieving. Um, this will have to take multiple episodes because I'm only gonna be able to do so much of this because it spans so many different areas of my life. Um, Let me just give you just a teeny bit of background information. Um, my mother passed when I was 20. We talked about that. But there have been multiple people who have passed away in my life that I know I talk a lot about my mother, or I have spoken about my mother, um, and she's extremely important. She always has been extremely important. But grieving is bigger than one death. When you really look at grieving, and as I have gone through the grieving process multiple times and continue to walk through it, I have found that grieving is not just when someone passes. You grieve when a relationship ends. You grieve when a job ends. You grieve when you don't necessarily get where you thought you were gonna get. You grieve when you have to leave something behind, and when God elevates you. There's a grieving process that happens that I think like celebrities speak on this in certain ways and they just don't say the word grieve, but you kind of grieve your old life. It's almost like, you know, you can't look back or you'll turn into a pillar of salt. So as you walk forward, not looking back, you begin to grieve, because although you know you don't want to go back and there's absolutely nothing back there for you, but you still got to go through the process. It's a process to let that go and embrace what's in front of you. So I just wanted to talk to you about grieving and just be really transparent. I've had multiple deaths experiences in my life where I've had my mother's, my sister, all four grandparents, uncles, cousins, my godfather. I mean, like back to back. Like my sister passed away in 1 month, and then my godfather passed away the very next month. So there was a time period where I was walking through rooms of caskets like it was normal. And I could read off to you how the program is supposed to go for a funeral, like I can tell you how church is supposed to go. Like how an actual church service is ordered, or either how a program is done, or how you do a recital program. I was doing or being a part of funerals that much that I kind of knew what the funeral home was gonna do. You could just kind of tell how they move, because I don't know. At the time, I didn't understand what God was doing. So I'm like, why is it that I keep being present for these things? I don't understand. Well, I didn't know at the time that He was trying to pull me through the grieving process. When my mother passed away, y'all, I'll be really clear, and I don't know if I went through some dark days, very low days, depressing days. The trauma of losing my mother at the time that I lost my mother, I think that has a lot to do with it too. It was at the time period that I lost her. It was in a transitional period in my life where I was a college student, I was a new mother, I was young. I was a baby. I didn't know anybody. My daughter's 21, so like I'm looking at her right now going, I was you with a baby. And you didn't have, I didn't have me for you. Like my mama was gone. And I shut down. Yeah, I really shut down. And throughout the years, I had multiple horrible nightmares. I didn't sleep. I was on medication for a while. I already had been diagnosed with major depressive disorder when my cousin passed away when I was 16. So 4 years prior to that, actually, we can even go back a little bit further. My grandmother had passed, and I had never, up until the age of 14, I had never felt grief. I never felt pain. We were very sheltered, like I said, very kept children, and so we were sent out of the room if anything got too heavy. We weren't able to be around when they talk, when grown folks was talking. You get out of here, stop looking in my mouth while grown folks are talking. That was just, I'm from the country, but that's just good upbringing. When grown folks start talking, y'all get out of here and stop listening to us. You don't understand no way. Well, so we didn't know a lot. We were green, what they call green, in the idea of, so at 14 when my grandmother passed, I didn't understand what that meant. I didn't understand that she was not, I mean, you know, it was tough. So that's 14. Then in 16, one of my favorite cousins, my daughter's actually named after him, and her dad. Let me not take that from him. She's named after him and her dad. But he passed away in a tragic car accident. And today I could tell you every single moment what it felt like, what it looked like, what I felt, what I said, what time it was, how it looked. Like it replay. It's like I have it. It became a part of my DNA. So then from there, then my mother passes away, and then I just go into like this deep depression. At the time, I had gained quite a bit of weight. I was a dancer, so I had always been like maybe 140, 150. But shoes, I was up to about, and I'm only 5'1", 5'2", so I was like 230, 240 at one point. After having both of my children, I got in such a dark depression. I cried constantly. I cried all the time. I had horrible nightmares. I didn't understand what it was to leave your loved ones at the grave. I felt like I was doing something wrong to them. Like, do y'all not understand? Like, my mama out there. Like, no, listen to me. And my family's all in vaults. And it's like, no, do you not understand that my mama laying right there? Like, that's my mother in there, and she's inside of that box. I really need to get her out of there. It didn't make sense to me. So for a good while, I went to the grave every day for, I know, 6 months. And then I started going once a week. And then I started going once a month until I stopped going. And so now I hadn't gone to the grave until my sister passed, and it had been quite a few years. My sister would not go. It took her 7 years to go. She was 14 when we went out there. 14, 15, something like that, 7 years. By the time she went to the grave. Because she said her mama wasn't there, so she didn't see why we need to go out there. Now, she, on the other hand, did not cry. She did. It took her 7 years to cry. She was angry. She was angry with me because I had more years with my mother than she did. She expressed that to me, and I'm a liberal, so I understand that's why you mad at me, and that's okay. I'm very passionate, so I voice my opinion. But truthfully, when I sit down and think about it, I understand where people are really coming from. Even when I don't agree with what they're saying, I respect what they're saying. Even after I have yelled, kicked, screamed, and told you that I don't like it, I do sit down and say, you know what? That's their opinion. That's what they think, and that's the way they perceive it. And so I respected the fact that she felt that way. That was her feeling. She expressed to me that she didn't agree with a lot of decisions that I made when my mother passed away, and it was hard for her to understand that I was a kid and I ain't know no better. Because I'm looking at my child now, and I know that if I passed, she wouldn't know what to do. And I don't mean that like she's not equipped, but what I'm saying is the decisions that I was making about property and money and assets and successions and selling a house, things of that nature, and even raising my sister, going out to the high school, junior high, to make sure that she's getting the grade she's. But I was 20, 21. I didn't know any better. I didn't know. So on top of that, my mother was in a sorority here, and they wanted to honor her, and I just couldn't get up to go do any of that. Like, none of that stuff mattered to me, because I didn't want to stand up there in front of them and cry. I didn't want to stand up in front of them and receive a plaque. My mama gone, and I know that people needed to express themselves because of their love for her, but for me, she wasn't a plague. She was my mama. Grieving is a very, very delicate process. Nobody does it the same. And you don't have to. I've become what you would call a little mini hoarder. So I keep everything because I'm like, I'm gonna need it one day. Well, recently I moved, and when I moved, my godmother had to come over, and I still had newspapers and mortgage papers from my mother's home 20 years ago. And when she pulled the bag out, she said, "Oh, this is Crystal, this has got to go." She said, "I can smell the paper. The paper is rotten." Because paper rots. Everything has an expiration date. I love that point. Everything has a beginning and an end, whether good or bad. Neither one of them get to stay. One of them got to go so the other one shows up. So if you're in something bad, hold on, something good coming. And if you're in something good, you better enjoy it, because the rough time is a-coming. It won't stay long, but it's coming. It's just life. But she pulled that bag out, and we started going through the things, and I went to looking at like the newspapers and just stuff that I kept of hers. And my grandmother's very, very, very intricate in me releasing things. She said, because that person is not attached to that thing. You already have that thing. You got the person in here. Hard for me, Lord. Hard for me to understand, to the point where I had to turn my back. If she thought it was something that was very important, she would lay it down and she'd tell me. And eventually, by the end of the process, I was like, oh no, throw out it. It's vanished. Throw out it. We're going to burn it. And she was like, now you understand. But what I did get to do, y'all, which was so amazing. My mother, I know she did this. God did this. But I do believe my mama a little angel sometimes. So I was able to find my mother's calendar from the year that she passed. Man, it blew my mind. Like, I was able to look at all of the dates. She had the appointments that she had to go to the doctor, the appointments where she was going to go have her angioplasty done, the appointments that she was going to go and have certain things. She even had my sister's, appointment, dentist appointments, doctor's appointment. She had all of these things, bills she had to pay, dates she had to get them done, right? Well, my mother passed away she went into the coma August 26th. She passed away September the 8th. She had dates already on this calendar all the way through October. Man, that spoke volumes to my life. Man, you could plan a whole bunch of stuff and watch God laugh at your plans. She planned out so much stuff. She had my sister's stuff planned. She even had my daughter's birthday. And Jamil showed up today. Like all of this stuff. But she was gone. Y'all be careful. Not to live in the moment. Make sure you live in the moment. Because you could plan tomorrow. You could plan the next hour and not be here. And so what grieving has taught me is to not waste time. I did waste a lot of time. Let me tell you, I waste a lot of time crying every anniversary, crying every birthday, crying at something I thought. I waste so much. Now I look back, I waste so much time. I should have been celebrating those days. I did, and people would say it all the time. Crystal, why don't you do something, that be happy today? Why don't you have a party, get a cake, let's get together and have a good time and celebrate your mother. I was like, no, how could you say that? This is my mother's anniversary of her death date. And for some reason, I felt like I was supposed to continue to grieve that day every year. At the beginning of August, every year, for the last 21 years. Not this year, maybe 20 years. Because 21, baby, we different this year. You see this right here? We different this year. August 1 came in and we rocking. Okay? But when August would come in for 20 straight, you know how many years I've wasted my August? The enemy just controlled me for 20 years with grief. I almost was shut down in the month of August. I was like, hey, it's August. This is the month my mama left me. Y'all don't understand. I apologize if I'm not me. That it was so unfair. It was unfair to everybody. It was unfair to my children. It was unfair to the husbands I had. It was unfair to my friends. It was unfair to my family. Because of the way that I ended up wanting to grieve or deal with her death, then I almost made them have to deal with it like that. Because, oh Lord, we can't deal with blah, 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 blah. You can't do that. That's almost slapping God in the face. That was my mother's journey. This is mine. Gosh, that was good. This August, 26th. We rocking, baby. We gonna rock. Cause guess what? I may have not spoken to her anymore since August 26th, 2000. But I've been with God, and He took very good care of me. I ain't miss nothing. I ain't miss no meals. I'm okay. I am okay. Man, when I look at what death has done, and right now with COVID, I know a lot of people are dealing with death. They're dealing with it. We're dealing with, we're looking at the news, we're dealing with burying our loved ones and saying goodbye. Well, why don't we make a point to celebrate our days that we're here every day? Wake up and just say, God, thank you for waking me up one more day. I will not disrespect, dishonor, and dismiss the amazing blessing of this day anymore. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I'm not going to cry and that I won't get sad and I won't have low days or low moments. Boom, let's go back. Low moments. But I refuse to let it take over anymore. And I don't want you to. So anybody who's grieving, we're going to vow today that we're going to have moments, not days. Moments, not weeks. Moments, not months anymore. I'll do that with you. If you need somebody to do that with you, I'll do that with you. We're going to have moments, not days. Moments, not weeks. Moments, not months of grieving. We're going to love the memories we have. We're going to laugh while we cry. The tears flowing and busting out laughing at whatever memory we have of our loved one. All of them. Ooh, if I took a picture of the grave right now, you would be like, and I'm just talking about my family. It's a line. You could ride down this road, and it's an old country town I live in, and the whole front line and vaults. But I'm grateful for today. I'm grateful to be able to talk to you about it. I'm grateful for anybody who decides to listen. I'm grateful for those who didn't, because that's a blessing if grieving is not your issue. I thank God for those that are not dealing with grieving, because that means that you have not had to be affected by it the way it has affected us. It's beautiful. We'll talk more. I like that challenge. I like that challenge. Moments, not days. Thanks for listening. Y'all be blessed.